Blog Talk Radio. Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Franchise Interviews. For over 6 years, Franchise Interviews has been giving an up-close, behind-the-scenes look at franchising and entrepreneurship. Listen to interviews with franchisers, franchisees, franchise authors, franchise experts, and attorneys. And now, welcome your host, Marty McDermott, and Franchise Interviews.
Hi everyone, and welcome to a very special edition of Franchise Interviews, where for over 7 years now, we've been asking the entrepreneurs one-on-one. I'm your host, Marty McDermott. I'm the president of Franchise Interviews, and we have a great show today. We're meeting with Jeff Schwietert of the Schwieter Cone and Candy Franchise Opportunity. And Schwieter is a family-run candy and ice cream franchise. We're going to talk to Jeff about that in just a moment on Franchise Interviews. So stick around because we got a great show.
Are you looking for a franchise that delivers? Businesses will always need shipping, and for more than 25 years, loyal customers have depended on Unishippers for reliable savings and exceptional customer service. Unishippers is focused on just one thing: helping small and medium-sized businesses save time and money on all their shipping needs. And as the largest reseller of complete shipping services in the country, we have the buying power to ensure that we succeed. The Unishippers franchise offers low startup costs, no equipment or real estate required because they're not retail, residual income, and a quality of life and work-life balance. For more information on becoming a Unishippers franchisee, go to www.unishippers.com and click Franchise Opportunities, or call Franchise Development at 801-708-5822. That's 801-708-5822. Franchise Interviews. For over 6 years, Franchise Interviews has been giving an up-close, behind-the-scenes look at franchising and entrepreneurship through our website, franchiseinterviews.com, where you can hear and read interviews as well as get tips from some of the most successful sources in franchising. Our weekly franchise radio show, where each week you get to hear a new interview with franchisers, franchisees, franchise authors, franchise experts, and attorneys. And don't forget to listen to our podcast, Great Quotes in Franchising. For more information, go to franchiseinterviews.com or call us at 610-905-2919. That's 610-905-2919.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to a very special edition of Franchise Interviews, where for over 7 years now, we've been asking for entrepreneurs one-on-one. I'm your host, Marty McDermott. I'm the president of Franchise Interviews, and as we were saying earlier, we have a great show today. We're meeting with Jeff Schwietert of the Schwieter's Cone and Candy Franchise Opportunity. And Schwieter's is a family-run candy and ice cream franchise. Hey Jeff, how you doing? Welcome to the show.
Good. How are you doing, Marty?
I'm doing well, Jeff. Thanks for coming on the show. I know it's a bit early there, so I appreciate you calling in. Where are you calling from this morning?
No worries. And we're also joined by my director of franchise sales, Trevor Weber. So
he'll
be on
fantastic.
with us as well.
Okay, that's fantastic. Well, I recognize that area code, so.
Definitely.
That's fantastic. And how you doing, Trevor?
I'm doing well. It's definitely early, but we're certainly ready to go. We got our tea and our coffee, and we're up and kicking.
That's fantastic. Well, it's 10 o'clock here, and I think I'm on my third or fourth cup of coffee by now. So I really appreciate both of you coming on this show. It's really fantastic, and I think you have a very interesting opportunity. Maybe we could talk a little bit about the history, Jeff. You were there at the beginning, weren't you? So who better to ask than about the history of the company?
Yeah. We've been around since 1985. My parents started the business, and it's been an operation, a family-run operation ever since. And my parents are now basically, completely done, but they've left a pretty substantial legacy. And it's been a growing business all that time. Franchising is something that I have thought about almost for the last 10 years, and finally got around to it here this last year and partnering up with FranCorp. So
right.
it's been really good.
What was it like opening up the first franchise for you, Jeff, and I guess your parents as well? I mean, what was that experience like?
The first store? Yeah, well, the first store was definitely an experience for them because my dad both of my parents had never run a business before. My dad was in forestry, and my mom was a homemaker, so it was definitely a brand new opportunity for both of them, and it's something they felt like they could do, though. And and opening the first store is a big deal. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Trevor, maybe you could talk a little bit about the, Schwieterts as a franchise. I mean, if both you gentlemen were at a franchise show and someone came up to your booth and they said the typical questions like, so what do you guys do? How do you typically respond?
That's a great question. It's an amazing experience. I mean, you have candy, ice cream, fudge, chocolate, cotton candy, caramel corn, popcorn, espresso. I mean, pretty much any type of sweet under one roof. And so it's something the whole family can enjoy. And kind of going off of Jeff's family legacy, it's something to where we want our franchisees and we want every customer that comes into our store to experience that same vibe, to know that when they enter into our store, they become a part of our family. And that's a really important aspect for us to have with them and give them that opportunity. So it's something to invite them into a story and give them a wonderful experience.
And that's what I got out of it too. We do like a lot of research before we have our guest on the show. And as I was saying to my wife, I said, this is an experience. I suspect, when the customer comes into the store, it's more than just, of course, candy and cones. Here's the trick question: does Jeff let you try a lot of the different products when you go into the store? And what's your favorite?
That's the dangerous part of being at the store, and you could definitely talk to Deb about that one. And every now and again, my wife comes out there, and I love ice cream, and she loves chocolate, so that's a dangerous combination.
That's fantastic.
I would say definitely our ice cream. Here we sell Tillamook ice cream, and so our ice cream is really good. But all of our we make all of our own chocolates and all of that, so we all of it is really, really delicious. I would honestly say something that we're really known for is our sea foam, which is kind of a sponge candy, and that's something that's pretty special to us, and I think our recipe is very unique. So I would honestly say probably that, and for me, the ice cream, for sure.
That's fantastic. Have you started selling the products online, Jeff and Trevor?
We have in the past. Right now, we've still been working on getting our sales portion, our online store up and running with the new name and everything. So that's actually something that we'll have available for people here in the next probably couple of weeks. Actually, that site's nearly ready to go up. So
that's fantastic. How has technology played a role in your business today? I'm sure it's a lot different from when your mom and dad first started working in the business and where it's at today. So what role does technology play today?
Well, I think technology has definitely made everything more efficient, sped everything up. I think the biggest thing for me is just being able to, track the sales so specifically and know, what's working and what's not working so much more quickly rather than just kind of going off of your gut or going off of impressions it has made everything just so much more transparent to be able to understand what your business is doing and how it's functioning, and of course having cameras and everything else, it makes everything a lot easier to almost be remote and still run your business. But at the same time, it still takes that touch of being there and having the experience with the people and everything. So
Yeah, definitely having those. We have a state-of-the-art POS system to be able to, like Jeff was saying, track with everybody, and even from a franchise perspective, having a good CRM system to be able to follow up, track how the franchisee process is going, track numbers on both ends. So, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, you didn't have that option. So it makes life a little easier.
It's going to be interesting too, Trevor. I mean, once you guys are on the East Coast, I mean that technology certainly does help.
Absolutely.
In comparing the numbers, so I think that's fantastic. Are there numbers on this industry? I mean, I know this is a pretty big industry, isn't it?
It really is. I was thinking about that on the way in. It is a really large and growing industry, and I honestly, off the top of my head, I don't have any specific numbers, but I know every year I get candy publications, and it's about the exponential growth of chocolate, and just it just continues. And I know it's something I guess I noticed through the recession was that although we were affected by the recession, the industry continued to grow and continued to do better. I think in a lot of ways it is a very recession-proof industry that people are they always want to treat. They always want to go out and have have that indulgence. And even if they they're gonna spend money on it, even if it's only $5 or $10. So yeah.
Yeah, I've actually seen that. In studying that particular industry, Jeff and Trevor. Is that your industry is, I guess you could say, really recession-proof. In fact, I think there's even some cases where when the economy is bad, sometimes it still goes up. Because people want that. That sweet, like you said. Or it's a little escape, and it's not expensive, is it?
Exactly.
Oh, absolutely.
That's exactly it. Yeah.
It's a comfort.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's fantastic. So, Jeff, I'll start with you on this question. What's been the most interesting thing that's happened to you since launching Schwietert as a franchise?
Well, it's I suppose the learning curve. There's been so many things. Just I went to school for business, but this is franchising is so different than just the industry itself is so different than anything else. And I think that has been. I mean, we've had FranCorp as kind of our guide through the whole process, and they've been very invaluable to helping us put everything together. But without that, I feel like I'd be lost in the wilderness somewhere. Because it's a really tough industry to get your feet wet in and put everything together that you need to have, and I feel like we definitely have. I mean, we have every component ready to go for the prospective franchisee. I mean, we are fully ready on every front to be there to support them, to get them operational, to make sure that they have the best training manual possible, to from the design of the store. I mean, we've really done all of the work on this. That's
fantastic. How about you, Trevor? Anything stand out?
Yeah, a lot of it, because I've been in sales for quite a few years, and like Jeff said, franchise is a different game. I mean, people are people, but when you get into franchising, it's definitely different. So the learning curve for me has been phenomenal. And Jeff brought me on. Him and I have been friends for almost 15 years now, and brought me on to learning the store as well as learning the franchise system. And it's been fantastic, to be honest. It's definitely a new environment, but it's good for me to enter into that because these franchisees are going to be in the same situation of learning the store. They're going to see the excitement. They're going to see all these things, and I've felt all of that. So I'm 100% on board. I believe in what Jeff is doing. I believe in him. I mean, not only as a friend, but as a business professional. And so that, for me, has been the biggest learning curve and piece of excitement, too, of entering into something new. And something that I think that, nationwide, it's easily go into every city across the country and do well.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Well, the thing that I would say about the concept, too, is that it's not just, buying a restaurant franchise or buying any other kind of boring franchise, that's out there. This is a really exciting field, and you're buying yourself not only a job and a career, but that excites people and brings joy to people. I think that's probably the biggest thing that we do is candy and ice cream and confections just bring joy to people, and at the same time they make money, and so I think that those are really invaluable pieces of the pie, and I think they're really, really important, and I think people who are looking at this should really consider those things as well as the investment and everything else.
Yeah, I would agree with that too, Jeff. It's interesting, and I hope no transmission franchises are listening right now. But I would say it must be tough to own a transmission franchise. You say to someone, well, you need a new transmission. It's going to cost you $1,000. You see the look at me. What you guys do is you're right. It's fun, and as Trevor was describing it earlier, it's an experience, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
You get to put a smile on people's faces, and those, and you're right. I mean, that is always a fun type of business, I think. You're talking a little bit about the franchisees, and this question could be for either of you or both of you. What types of characteristics will you be looking for? Do you look for in your franchisees?
Well, I guess I'll start on that, and then I'll let Trevor finish up on that. We definitely want some people that are very family oriented. We want people that are obviously loyal, and they understand who we are, and that that they're a good fit for our system. Of course, that's number one. But then number two, we want them to be able to have fun and enjoy candy and enjoy what the store is, and really represent the brand well. Go ahead, Trevor.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, those are probably the several most important things. I mean, if you go into a candy ice cream store and you're not having fun there, I mean, it's pretty hard. I mean, customers walk in and you see kids running around and being extremely excited, and we want our franchisees to be invited into that story, as well as for them to be a part of it and basically increase it too. And along with that, somebody who has a lot of values where they're going to be working hard, they're committed to it, and as well passing along the family legacy. So, them bringing on employees, coaching those employees, letting them become a part of their family. Because part of the concept is they're going to be, at this workplace almost as much as we'll go with their family. Any of us are in that situation. So we want it to be an environment where they and their employees are excited to go to work. They're going to be working hard. It's a tough industry to be in. It's a fun industry and a rewarding industry, but working hard and some long hours, especially up front, getting it up and going. It's really important for them to be committed to that. And like Jeff said, within that system, being willing to go above and beyond, and our support's going to be there, and we're going to train them and give them everything that we have, to hopefully do well in the industry.
That's fantastic. How does the training work, Jeff and Trevor? Do they come out to headquarters?
Mm-hmm. Right now they would come out to Cannon Beach out here on the Oregon coast, and they would do 8 weeks of training, and then we would provide another hands-on right before they open. We're going to be there as well. We're going to be there through their opening and making sure that they're set up. 8 weeks may seem kind of like a long time, but we have a lot of different components within our candy store. We have it's not just the candy store. We've got the recipes that they have to get trained on, and we want everything to be really perfected. We want them to really be well-versed in what we're doing and how we do it, and in our culture as well. So that's something that we feel pretty strongly about, and again that shows our commitment to their level of success as well. We want them to do well, and so them learning as much as they possibly can while they're here is really important. So
that's great. What about a typical day? For someone who's listening and they're saying, wow, this sounds like an interesting opportunity, but I don't have any experience in this type of business. How would you describe a typical day as a Schwietert's franchisee?
Well, I would say, firstly, that, my parents came in with no experience and didn't know the first thing even about business. And so, it's learnable. And I think you don't have to have a vast knowledge. You can come from corporate, you can come from wherever, and be able to learn this. What was the second part of that question?
Well, a typical day, from
a typical day.
I guess from when they come in the morning till what happens in the afternoon and then leaving at the end of the day.
Okay, so a typical day, you get here. We open up here about 10 o'clock. Maybe in some places you would want to open a little earlier, but our busy time tends to be the middle of the day.
Okay.
So you're going to want to, really prepping only takes normally about a half an hour. So you don't need maybe 9:30. You're here a little bit before opening, and to get everything up and running, all the machinery on, all of the lights on, and then typically we don't start getting really that busy until early afternoon. So there's time to do, if you need to make caramel corn or you need to do, some of the different stocking requirements. There's time to do that in the morning, especially if you have an employee or two that are coming in to help you with that process.
Right.
So, and then through the middle of the day, our peak time here is right in the very middle of the day, is probably anywhere from like 1 to, I would say, 4.
Okay.
And then there's normally a lull in the dinner hour. And then we typically pick back up around 6, and we're busy until 7, 8 o'clock, and if it's on the weekend, sometimes it stays busy until like 9 or 10, depending on the time of year and the weather, and then closing. And closing normally takes about a half an hour as well. So that kind of gives you an idea of what the day will look like.
No, I think that's a great description. What about the location and, how much space is required? I mean, like, what do you look for in a location and again, how much space?
Go ahead, Trev.
Yeah, Marty, that's a great question. So we're looking at about 3,000 to 5,000 square feet.
Okay.
In those locations, we're looking for high foot traffic area, high traffic, good visibility. So something, a location on a corner, and definitely either strip malls or within a shopping mall. Really depending on where and what city it is. For example, like San Diego, I'm from San Diego. It's all outside malls, so we would have it in a high location, right at the top of the escalator on the corner, to where people are constantly getting a view of this.
Right.
And the median household income, we've even nailed it down to that. About an area of about $45,000-$50,000 median household income. Right square in the middle, to where it can be reachable to anybody, all ages, all walks of life. So it's definitely a doable position and location, and we've got a design team that's coming in that's going to be able to help each franchisee get their place up and going, have all the specs laid out for everything, and so it's going to be a pretty not simple process. So
Right. That's fantastic. So, Jeff, I can ask you this question. I mean, what are the plans for the future? I mean, where do you see the company maybe like 3 to 5 years down the road?
Well, we'd like to see growth of between 10 to 20 franchises a year. I mean, that's kind of where our ideal is set right now. So I guess within 3 to 5 years, hopefully we have, 30 to 60 franchises, maybe more than that by 5 years. But and obviously we're focusing right now on the Northwest. We're focusing on Portland, Seattle, and then California regions. But we're open to other regions as well, and we're going to be able to grow. We just want to make sure it's within the feasibility of what we're trying to provide, because we've got all the supply chain really worked out, but we've worked it out here in the Northwest. So if it was somewhere else, we'd have to really rethink that, and that might take us a little bit. But we definitely want to go nationwide, and we will. It's just going to be a matter of one step at a time, and that's kind of what we're focused on. And we want our franchisees to succeed. We want to make sure that we provide them the very best support that we possibly can, and make sure that we're doing the best by them that we possibly can. So we don't want to necessarily get somebody in Florida right away when we can't really be there like we would want to be there eventually. So that's our focus.
It must be interesting for your parents too. I mean, I'd love to interview them in 5 years. As the company is growing. Just to, as it's an interesting story to me. Is how they didn't really have a background in this business. And they really dedicated themselves to building this, this systematized company, so I think it's fantastic. So I'm definitely going to invite them next time around on the show. They sound like interesting people as well. What's the best way to get more information on becoming a franchisee? Any websites that you'd like them to go to?
Go ahead.
Yeah, definitely. It's schwieterfranchising.com.
Okay.
So it's SCHWIETERFRANCHISING.com. PERTS, franchising.com, or they can actually just contact me directly, Marty.
Okay.
My email is trevor@schwietert.com, and that will give them a lot of information. Or they can just simply Google our company name, and it comes up quite a bit. And I'd be more than willing to talk to people, and it's a pretty exciting opportunity.
That's fantastic. Yeah, and the website is great, by the way, too. It gave me a lot of great information. It gave me a feel for, who you guys are and everything like that. So I'm glad that I finally got to have you on the show. And as I said, Jeff and Trevor, I'd like to have, you back, as you continue to grow. I think this is an interesting opportunity.
Absolutely. That would be
perfect.
Fantastic. It's been great talking to you.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. We'll be right back with more franchise interviews.
Are you looking for a franchise that delivers? Businesses will always need shipping, and for more than 25 years, loyal customers have depended on Unishippers for reliable savings and exceptional customer service. Unishippers is focused on just one thing: helping small and medium-sized businesses save time and money on all their shipping needs. And as the largest reseller of complete shipping services in the country, we have the buying power to ensure that we succeed. The Unishippers franchise offers low startup costs, no equipment or real estate required because they're not retail, residual income, and a quality of life and work-life balance. For more information on becoming a Unishippers franchisee, go to www.unishippers.com and click Franchise Opportunities, or call Franchise Development at 801-708-5822. That's 801-708-5822.
Hi everyone, this is Marty McDermott from Franchise Interviews, and welcome to another edition of Great Quotes in Franchising. For each podcast you get to hear a great quote in franchising. Don and I have been hosting Franchise Interviews now for almost 2 years, with 100 shows under our belt, and during that time frame we've had some incredible quotes from the guests that have been on our show. If you're a frequent listener to our weekly radio show, then you know what fans Don and I are of the great Michael Gerber, author of the very successful E-Myth Revisited and Awakening the Entrepreneur Within. What's even more amazing is how often Michael's name has come up from our guests in the past 2 years. So you're going to hear from the great Michael Gerber in just a moment. And for the first time on Blog Talk Radio, Franchise Interviews is giving franchisors a unique opportunity to sponsor our weekly radio show. You can have a professionally recorded commercial run on our live as well as archive shows. And here's a quick message from our sponsor, and then again the great Michael Gerber. So enjoy.
Franchise Interviews. For over 2 years now, Franchise Interviews has been giving you an up-close, behind-the-scenes look at franchising and entrepreneurship.
Through our website, franchiseinterviews.com, where you can hear and read interviews as well as get tips from some of the most successful sources in franchising.
And our weekly franchise radio show, where each week you get to hear a new interview with franchisors, franchisees, franchise authors, experts, and attorneys.
And our free franchise newsletter, which is a must-read for anyone looking to buy a franchise.
And don't forget to listen to our podcast, Great Quotes in Franchising. For more information, go to franchiseinterviews.com or call us at 610-905-2919.
That's 610-905-2919.
Which, by the way, I'm now reading again for the second time. I recommend everybody out there, it's been a while since they've read the E-Myth, to read it again. It's really a great little refresher, because people seem to forget about things over time, Michael.
I've got guys, I swear, Don, who tell me they pull out the E-Myth Revisited every year. Mm-hmm. One gentleman I spoke to, the founder of an extraordinary company, 1-800-GOT-JUNK, mm-hmm. who's a franchisor.
Right.
He credits the E-Myth with the creation of his company, and he credits the E-Myth with the continued vitalization of his company and the growth of his company. They now have a few more than 300 franchisees around the world. The guy is less than 40. He's the CEO of this company. He started by driving a truck picking up junk, read the book, read the E-Myth Revisited, and suddenly saw the light. And the product of that is a company which last year did $147 million in gross revenue and has the expectation of reaching $1 billion in revenue in the next 8 years. So the man's on path, and he takes the E-Myth out every year and reads it again and insists that every one of his management team reads the book. And in fact, I'm the keynote at his annual event in March. So I'll be in Vancouver addressing 1-800-GOT-JUNK.
Right. The show we had last week, Michael, with the CEO and president of a franchise opportunity called Desert Moon, Gary Okigrasso, he spoke about you for like 10 minutes during the show. I mean, it's just amazing the impact that you've had in the franchise community. I mean, your name comes up every other show. Thank you.
And I don't know 90% of these people, so I hear
he's going to be happy
for what this guy says and this guy says and that guy. It's really quite extraordinary to me because I don't know these people.
Exactly. I can't imagine, what kind of fuel you have. I mean, I don't know how you go to bed at night, Michael. I mean, changing the story you told about, the young gentleman, being depressed and stuff like that. I mean, the kind of fuel that you must get from that kind of situation must be incredible for you.
It is. It's absolutely extraordinary, and life is simply an array of infinite options, and they're continually showing up. Absolutely. They're constantly showing up. I can't imagine how anybody could feel limited or deprived of opportunity when there is so much more opportunity than any single one of us could possibly deal with. And I see it every single day in my mind. There's one. Why doesn't anybody do that? Why doesn't anybody do that? It's extraordinary when you begin to experience the entrepreneur within, and anybody, any single person on the face of this earth can experience it if they begin the process right, and that's what I'm committed to.
Absolutely. And the title is great, too, Michael, how you added, in addition to how ordinary people create extraordinary companies without any experience to guide them. You were one of those people. I think you referenced Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, Michael Dell. I mean, all these guys really didn't have this significant experience in business. It was all based on a dream or their imagination.
Exactly. They had no experience in business. Bill Gates wasn't a business guy.
Right.
Bill Gates didn't work for a living. Bill Gates went to Harvard and then dropped out. Michael Dell didn't have any experience when he started his business. Nobody, no great entrepreneur has necessarily had any business experience at all. They simply imagined a result that they saw was absolutely needed in the world, and then they invented the answer to that problem in a business. Well, anybody can do that.
Right.
And in the book, Awakening the Entrepreneur Within, I take you step by step through the golden process through which any company can be started from scratch in your garage. And I'm essentially saying, if your car is parked in your garage, move it out and start a business.
Exactly, absolutely.
And this book, Michael, top entrepreneurs are never satisfied. I mean, in Chapter 3 of your book, I thought it was great. You talk about you woke up one day and you had nothing to do. Personally, I mean, that's my dream, to wake up one day and have nothing to do, but just for a day before I get back to business. But, of course, yourself being a top entrepreneur, you just weren't satisfied with that. You had to, take that next step and do something great again, and that's what you did, obviously, with this book.
Yeah, well, and you got to understand, when I say I had nothing to do, I had everything to do, but I didn't have to do it.
Right.
In other words, I didn't have to go out and earn a living anymore.
True.
But I do. I didn't have to go out and speak anymore, but I do continuously. I didn't have to go out and write another book. My books are among the top 5 business books ever published in the world. E-Myth Revisited sells more books every year than it sold before. Wow. It's the most extraordinary phenomenon. So I didn't have to do anything. There's nothing that caused me to go out and create the dreaming room other than my fertile imagination. And I'm simply saying, what an extraordinary place to live in the imagination. because one can begin to imagine a world unlike the world we live in and then take it upon yourself to invent it. And that's all it is, inventing it. Everybody invents every single day of their life. The problem is most of us invent the past.
True.
I'm about inventing the future.
Right. And this book precedes the E-Myth, Michael, so I guess everybody who has read the E-Myth is going to have to read Awakening the Entrepreneur Within as well.
Your lips to God's ears.
There you go.